Hi, and welcome to this episode of Let's Talk Data. As always, our vision for this podcast is to explore technology relevant to organizations today. Our mission is to discuss industry topics from different angles so that you can get a fuller picture of how you can improve your IT. In this episode, we discuss security in organizations, but from a different angle. We've invited our first academic to the show, Professor Jackie Riley. She's been running cybersecurity courses for over 15 years and has currently over 500 students. And if Jackie is the Yoda of the cybersecurity academic world, Euan Birch, Proact's cybersecurity operations lead, is her Jedi. Euan used to be Jackie's Padawan student, but is now running Proact's Cybersecurity Operations Center. With the help of this Rebel Alliance, we investigate how cybersecurity has changed over the years and the challenges that cloud can bring. We get some great tips from Jackie and Euan on how they would implement security and security practices in an organization if they could be the IT manager for one day. And we also discuss the threats of the future and what one should be looking out for. This has been a great episode to record, and I hope you enjoy the show and that you learn something new. All right, so Euan, you're like Luke Skywalker, who's traveled to the Dagobah system, been trained by Jackie Yoda, and now you're fighting the dark side, in Proact Security Operations Center. How did Yoda get her knowledge, and how did you stay updated and ahead in this rapidly evolving security sphere that we're in, where new threats arise every day, and the feeling, I guess, you can tell me if I'm wrong, that the dark side is one step ahead seems to be always present. So that's actually a question to Jackie. How do you stay updated in this world?
Continuous reading, lots of industry reports, lots of professional certifications. You have to stay that one pace ahead, and it is, it's a great thing about cyber. It's a community, and everybody's there supporting and helping, developing. So being involved within the community and keeping a pace through reading the latest alerts that come out a daily basis.
Yeah. So I mean, that must be, as you said, on a daily basis. You must really be living in this cybersecurity world if you are going to be able to stay on top of things, I guess. I mean, you've obviously been working with cybersecurity for a while. How has cybersecurity changed throughout the years, according to you?
I think there has been, as there becomes more publicity, everybody now knows about ransomware because you hear it on the news and you hear about the effects of it, and whether it's financial or whether it's the loss of services, etc. That, for example, the NHS experienced. I think things have changed in the sector from greater awareness of what's involved. But equally, it's changed from the concept that as more people become aware of cybersecurity, you get more threat actors as well, because, that balance between the black and the white hats. So it has certainly become more of an issue for organisations and governments, etc. But at the same token, there is a greater number of people coming into the sector, which, can't be bad at all. From a technical perspective, how's it changed? Well, probably the biggest thing will be the move to the cloud. So moving away from hard physical infrastructures that you can, see and protect, to having something that's based in the cloud, which can be more vulnerable. So every time that there's a change in technology, you'll see that reflected change within the vulnerabilities that are evident as well.
Interesting. I mean, one could argue that the move to the cloud would make that hardware part something that you, another thing that you don't have to care about as much, because that is in the SLA and the security of the cloud provider, right? And that and so the actual physical, at least, security around your own data center is no longer your sole responsibility.
Yeah, around your data center, but most organisations will still have a backbone that's required to be protected and so on. But the other day there, I was talking to a company, and they had outsourced a lot of stuff to third-party providers. But actually, third-party provider was not, meeting the guidelines and the requirements that they needed them to. But if the company's unaware of this with respect to they don't know what they don't know what they should be asking to be included in their service level agreement, then you can find more vulnerabilities in that link between the two. So, while moving to a third-party provider can be beneficial, you have to be careful about the agreement, how it's set up, and have a full understanding of what it means. Particularly SMEs, we're finding more and more SMEs don't have the in-house experience and knowledge to ask the right questions of the third-party providers.
Yeah.
Right.
We've seen a lot of that. We've seen a lot of people thinking, if I put my stuff in the cloud, it's secure. Not quite. You're probably still responsible for looking at security. We've seen a lot of customers who have, cloud-first strategies. I think that's a big talking point within the industry. We want everything in cloud. We want it to be cloud first because in some cases it's cheaper, some cases it's not, but in some cases it's cheaper and it's potentially easier to run. It's looked after by someone else, so you don't have to worry about it. But in reality, you do have to worry about it because you're still responsible for the security. If somebody configures something incorrectly or they don't update something or keep it patched or anything like that, then you're still going to be responsible for it. And that's where, we see a lot of the movement in the industry from people now thinking, well, we wanted to go cloud first, and they've been doing that for a while now, to actually, we need to be cloud first and secure. And that's really, really important. And people are making that distinction now that secure is different from having something in the cloud.
Yeah, right. So is that, what would you take with you if you were the IT manager? If you let's say you stop working for Proact and you become an IT manager in a couple of years or tomorrow, who knows? What are the core things that you would take with you to that company or implement? Maybe it's in your own company.
I think there's a lot of recommendations. You want to know what is happening. So you want to be able to see what is going on within your organization. There's too many organizations where they don't understand what's going on. So understand what's going on, be able to see everything. That means, devices, but it also means physical security as well if you have physical devices. So be able to see what's going on. Be able to assess any vulnerabilities in the right way, in the way that you want to be able to do that. So be able to understand exactly, the things that you're seeing, how they are vulnerable, and be able to build up that picture for your organization and be able to put that across to management in a good way. For me, it's always been a traffic light system. Green, yellow, red, people understand it. If they see red, they think bad. If they see green, they think good. So put it into something that's understandable. Build it up into, what do I need to know? So how do I build up my skill set? How do I build up, my organization skill set? Is that running some security awareness training and making people understand what affects them? And then finally, it's probably, the biggest attack vector that's out there is phishing. So get on top of phishing as quickly as possible. I think, only a couple of years ago, it was 95% of cyber attacks start with a phishing email. So get on top of phishing pretty quick. That might be training people, that might be using tools, but those are probably the key things that I'd be taking away with me from my time in the security industry, and I'd be telling anyone to do. Get on top of those things and you're going to be in a good position. It's about trying to keep people out. So if you deter people from coming in by putting those controls in place and following the governance and following industry standards, then it's less likely when someone comes knocking at the door that it's going to be your door that they go in through. They're probably going to come knocking and think, there's an easier place I can go now.
So the rise of of the successful security attacks is much because of companies not really following the recommendations that are out there
and not understanding them.
And not understanding them, perhaps, yeah.
And typically they are phishing and patching. That's the other two.
Phishing and patching, yeah, the two that you always hear about. And those two are still the main reasons.
Prime culprits. Yeah.
And sometimes you get, big industry events like the SolarWinds hack that happened, and you can't account for that. If somebody breaks into SolarWinds and puts a bit of code in their code, you can't account for knowing about that. And that's easy to explain. It's easy to say, well, I know that that's a problem, and I understand that could happen, but it's very unlikely. And if it does affect you, it's probably, as a small, medium organization, going to be a relatively quick investigation to say, well, actually, as much as it affected us, nothing happened, because they're going for the big targets, they're going for big government, they're going for, where they can make the most money. So take the easy hits and don't worry about the big things too much.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, do you have anything to add to that, Jackie, surrounding the tips and tricks or things that you would bring with you to an IT manager position?
I think we've talked a bit about the kind of technical side of things, but your employees, the people that work for you, how they respond. So of course phishing is one aspect, but they all have a duty with respect to security, whether it's the use of USB devices, their own devices. They're all at home just now during COVID. So how is your employee taking responsibility for the security of your organisation? Because again, it is not just the security guys, the IT guys' responsibility. It's every member of your personnel should be taking accountability for that.
All right. So the list grows. So we have patching, phishing, educating, or bringing awareness, right, to employees or people in your organizations. So the three: phishing, patching,
people.
No, people. There you go. The 3 Ps. Thank you. All right. Okay, perfect. In our last episode, we were talking about the future of AI and stuff like that, and how AI might become, part of the cyber security threats as well. And obviously, it might be part of everything in one way or another. But I feel like the Death Star lurking in the far away, but slowly coming towards us. Is obviously the threats of tomorrow. What do you see in that regard?
I would go for IoT devices. It's maybe not so far tomorrow as kind of now into tomorrow. The number of people who are investing in IoT devices at home without having any real knowledge about how they're connecting it, how they're securing it, never mind the manufacturers of the devices, making sure that security is built in. People will still go to an online provider, they will still compare the prices and go for the cheapest, without giving due consideration to actually, is the price dearer for a particular item because it's been well designed and is going to protect you. So I think IoT devices are a big threat generally.
Yeah. I'm starting to sweat now. I have a lot of bulbs at home, robot vacuum and stuff like that from different manufacturers. But yeah, definitely. I mean, you just hope that what you buy is well designed in regards to security as well.
Yeah, I had the person who fitted my double glazing tried to sell me a wireless alarm system. And I was like, no, thank you. These are the latest in technology, and I was like, no, I'll stick with my wired system just now, So I think there are so many vectors where there could be threats come through.
That's true. But I mean, there's a challenge there too, just like sticking to the subject of IoT devices in your home, I guess, as a private person as well, how do you, even with this knowledge, so trying to find out, is this a secure product? How do I do that?
Sometimes it's challenging to do that. It's not evident through the information that's provided by the manufacturer. So it does take a bit of digging for you to really research the product that you're looking to buy. And of course, how you're connecting it to your home network is important as well. So making sure that your home network is secure in the first place, making sure that you're changing the admin passwords of your router, etc. Then these are basic top tips that every person should be looking at.
Yeah, I guess that the IoT devices that are aimed for enterprise might be easier to find out, or I mean, the specs are obviously probably at least going to be specified. Interesting. What do you see, Euan, for the future of threats?
Yeah, there's two different sides to IT as well. There's traditional IT. Where we think of when we go into the office and we use Microsoft Word and we use, our email applications and we use Teams to talk to each other. There's that side of things. And then there's operational technology. And we've seen that a lot during COVID, actually, that, there's been some emphasis put back in our operational technology. So who keeps the lights on? In fact, at the time of speaking, Texas at the moment is going through a massive event where they're unable to get electricity into their hospitals because of a natural disaster. That type of technology is totally different. We're going to see, and we have already started seeing, people trying to attack those types of systems, operational technology. Only a couple of weeks ago, it hit the news that there was, I think it was a water treatment plant in Florida had been hacked into, and some of the values had been changed to put more chemicals into the water that could have been potentially dangerous and, put people's lives at risk. And we're going to see a lot more of that. We've seen hacks on power grids. We've seen hacks on different types of, operational machinery. We've seen hacks on cars as well. That type of technology is going to be probably highly regulated. We're going to see a lot of regulation around it. We're going to see a lot of different standards that these companies need to meet. And we need to be prepared for that as businesses as well, to meet that standard, to meet the different regulations that are going to be put in place that we have to be prepared for. And that could be cars, it could be us at home, sitting here with our heating on and our electricity. It could be potentially just your home laptop, or it could be those devices. So if you look at take Florida again, for example, Florida has, and California in particular, has laws in place which means that you can't sell an IoT device without a particular vulnerability standard in place where it is getting patched and it is being kept up to date. We've heard about big stories with baby monitoring software and that type of thing, which is really, really scary. So there's lots of different attack vectors that are out there, but it's stuff that's in your home that you think isn't connected to the internet. There's a chance that it might be, so just make sure that you know about it, and be prepared for those threats as businesses as well, to be able to protect against it. People are gonna want to start thinking about security on their different devices, and basically fighting back against the people that are out there. Fighting back against the people that are trying to get in. Home ransomware, that type of thing, as well as business ransomware, which are sort of two different types of attack vectors, in my opinion. So yeah, I see threats from everywhere because that's the industry that I work in. But people just start thinking about, how can I stay as secure as possible, and that'll help. Just that small little step at the start will help us get to where we want to be in the future. Some of the stuff around AI too. AI is super, super scary. And we're going to see people trying to use AI to hack into things. And that's definitely going to happen. Learning what normal activity is and then trying to fit into what normal activity is to outdo our tools that we have, because a lot of our tools try and understand what normal activity is and what unexpected activity is. So that when something unexpected happens, it gives you a big red flag in front of you and you have to deal with it. Yeah. AI is going to start learning what these things are and is going to start saying, well, I want to be normal, I want to fit in so that it doesn't flag. So that's scary too.
Yeah, you have a big challenge already, but in front of you too, it appears. But I'm sure that good will prevail. and it's been great having you on. Euan Skywalker and Jackie Yoda. It's been extremely interesting, and I wish you good luck in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nico Vader.
Thank you. Got me there.